In this video, we will be comparing the difference between greatest common factor versus least common multiple. Now, before we get started, it is important to understand what is a factor and what is a multiple. If we need more review time, I have made a previous video in explaining the differences between factors and multiples. Now let's start off with comparing the factors and multiples of 18 and 27. Now, which factors do 18 and 27 share in common? Well, both numbers are divisible by 3. 3 goes into both 27 and 18. Do we also have another factor greater than 3 that they both share in common? Well, they're both divisible by 9. Now, if we were to compare any other numbers, it could be time consuming to grab a calculator and keep guessing which factors go into both of the numbers that we try to compare. So instead of playing with our calculators, what we want to do is draw out our factor tree. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27. Note that in multiplication, we do not have to necessarily take only two numbers and multiply them together to get the product. We could multiply more than two numbers and get a number. So let's break up 6 and break up 9. So 3 is a common factor of both 18 and 27, and so as this other 3. So to take a look at our factor tree over here, 27 and 18, their factors are, say, both 3 times 3. Now, to find some common factors of the numbers that we try to compare, we branch out our factor tree and we look at which factors do they have in common, or 3 and another 3, and circling them up into our group over here. So 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 3 is 27. And this is how we find the greatest common factor using the factor trees in comparing the two numbers that we have. Now let's go over comparing some common multiples that they both share. So multiples of 27 are basically 27 times any whole number is equal to a multiple of 27. And multiples of 18 are basically 18 multiplied by any whole number is equal to a multiple of 18. Now we want to be able to find some common common multiples that they both share. So it should look something like this, a common multiple that they share. So one obvious example is if we take the two numbers that we try to compare and multiply them together. 27 times 18 is equal to 486. So 486, oh, whoops. So 486 is a multiple of 27 and a multiple of 18. But again, we want to find the least common multiple. Of course, there are many multiples that they share in common, but we want to find the least common multiple that they share. something that they both share in common. So one easy way of doing this is basically if we were to draw out our multiples chart of both 27 and 18. So 27 times 1, 27 times 2, 18 times 1, 18 times 2, 18 times 3. And look, what do we have here? They both share a common multiple of 54. So 27 times 3, oh, I'm sorry, 57 times 2 and 18 times 3, and they both share the same common multiple of 54. Now, if we were to compare any other two numbers, sometimes it could be time consuming just to write out our table and to keep writing numbers and then making up a long line. So to be more productive, what we want to do is we want to find the prime components of 18 and 27, which we have solved before. So, so the greatest common factor of 27 and 18 is 9. But don't forget, we want to find the least common multiple of we want to find the least common multiple of 27 and 18. So how we do this, we take the greatest common factor of 27 and 18 and we bring down the 2 in. So 9 times 2 is 18, 18 times 3 is 54. Now, note that why is it that when we try to find the least common multiple of 27 times 18, we take the greatest common factor of both of the numbers that we try to compare and then take out the numbers that was left out of the grouping? Well, here's one way of explaining this. So 9 is a factor of both 18 and 27. So let's look at the multiples of 9. 9 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 and times 6. So the numbers that we were trying to compare earlier was 18 and 27, and they share a common multiple of 54. So the least common multiple of 18 and 27, we take our greatest common factor, which is 9, and then the other numbers that was left in the grouping, we multiply them. So, so taking a look at this example here, so basically, so 18 times 3 is 54, 27 times 2 is 54. and how we solve this problem using the least common multiple, trying to take the greatest common factor of 18 and 27 and then multiplying it by the other factors left from the grouping. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 9 times 6 is 54. So remember, 9 times 1, then 9 times 2, 9 times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6. And that's how we were able to find the least common multiple of, uh, of 18